Well, that was heartbreakingly close, but despite our second quarter where they were all over us, some questionable umpiring and a bunch of opportunities that we missed, we fought to the very end and even gave ourselves a shot to steal it in the last minute. In case you don't know, my name's Woody. Jake's got me on to discuss some of the standout stats each week, so let's get into this week's Moorabbin Metrics. First up, as always, we're going to start with the saner of the match, and after a quiet week last week, Jack Sinclair came back with a vengeance, getting 35 disposals with 17 in the first quarter alone. He had 717 metres gained with 7 inside 50s, 4 rebound 50s, and 5 stoppage clearances for 6 score involvements, 2 goal assists, and a score launch. I also thought about giving it to Naz after he got 28 disposals with 668 metres gained, 3 inside 50s, 7 rebound 50s, 3 clearances with 1 from centre for 8 score involvements, 5 score launches and 2 goal assists. Wilkie was another I considered giving man of the match to, and if he had held Tex all night I probably would have given it to him. He had 31 disposals with 12 marks, 3 of which were contested, 8 of which were intercept. He had 16 intercepts possessions in general, 5 contested defensive 1v1s, of which he didn't lose any, 7 spoils, 4 tackles, 9 rebound 50s, and 265 metres gained. And before we get to the team stats, I want to give some shout outs. First up is Sam Flanders for what I thought was his best match for us so far. He got 30 disposals. Roma also stepped up when we needed it, getting 25 disposals. And Darcy Wilson also deserves a shout out, getting 24 disposals, 2 goals, 5 score involvements, and a goal assist. And we could keep going with others that did well, but let's get on to the team stats. We got on top of the Crows in overall disposals, which mostly came from handballs, and if we go over to Wheelo to check the match report, we can see that also translated to more handballed metres gained too. We had better overall disposal efficiency for the match, but if we take a more granular look, we can see that we only had the better of Adelaide in the first and fourth quarters. In terms of inside 50s, we let our opponent get the better of us again, 56 to 47, which was lower than our season average and likewise was bigger than our average differential this year. Looking at the hitouts, it's fair to say that McAndrew got the better of us, with Roma the only one to get an effective hitout to advantage. Somehow we managed to equalise the overall clearances through our around the ground stoppages, but were cleaned up in centre as Ross mentioned in the post-match presser. If we look at score sources, we can see that there wasn't much difference between us and Adelaide, getting just 4 points less. However, if we look at the score origin, we can see that Adelaide got 4-2-26 to our 1-goal-1 from centre. In terms of possessions, it was basically even for both contested and uncontested possessions, and it was similar with turnovers. The biggest difference came in terms of our time in possession, where after quarter time, Adelaide held possession for the majority of the match. We just won the marks in every category, with this being the first time this year that we've had more contested marks than our opponent in 3 or more quarters. When looking at the defensive side of things, we got smashed in every area and were below our season averages, which probably led to Adelaide getting more running bounces than us too. Now we will look at some footage this week, but before we move on, ESPN's Matt Walsh and Jake Michaels brought Champion Data's Christian Jolien on their footy show to fact-check Ross Lyon and see if we had actually improved when looking beyond the win-loss record.
So 2-4 to start the year. He then said, if you take out the win-loss, we've improved. And I just want to fact-check that. I want to see if he's right. I'm happy to say that Ross Lyon is right if that's true, but it just sort of seems like the Saints have stagnated again, Christian, which is an issue that we've seen to have had with them for the last sort of 3 or 4 years. Have the Saints improved on last year?
That's a no. Probably, yeah, I don't think they have.
Christian goes on to discuss many of the following stats and breaks it down into 2 categories. Are you doing better than yourself last year? Basically, if you've gone from 40 tackles on average to 50, or are you doing better than you were last year with respect to the competition? i.e., if you have gone from 40 tackles to 50 per match, has that also brought you from the 12th best team to the 5th best, or has the whole competition started tackling more and you're still roughly in the same spot respectively? So while I think he has some points, there's certainly areas we haven't seen much improvement yet. Because the tone was more negative, I wanted to point out some areas that we have improved. We brought DeConnie in to help get our mids better supply, and while the hit-out numbers are basically the same, the first indication of our improvement is our percentage of first hands to clearance has gone from 36.8 to 44.3. But the improvement becomes more obvious when looking at opposition hit-outs, which have gone from 45.8, which was 18th, to 30.2, jumping all the way to 5th. And I don't think anybody would argue that we've seen the best of DeConnie yet. We added Flanders to help that mid-group too, and I don't think anybody would argue that we've seen the best of him yet either. But Christian already mentioned the jump in points from clearance differential, and that comes from the 2.1 extra centre clearances we're getting as a team this year since he joined. We brought Silvani in to shore up our defence, and contested marks against has dropped by 2.9 per match, and despite the faster pace of the game leading to more inside 50s across the board, marks against inside 50 has dropped too. We got Liam Ryan in to help our forward line, and he's kicking more than a goal a game. So none of these guys are completely changing the dynamic of how we play, and that probably wasn't what we were asking them to do either. But the combination of them has meant that we haven't had to bring in some of the younger players like Keeler, Dodson, Hasty, or anybody like that for extended periods, and they can keep developing their craft in the VFL. It's been said for a while now that St Kilda's improvement will come from their youth stepping up, a la Naz, and I pretty much agree. So let's have a look at some of the moments that our youth stepped up this week. Here we can see Wilkie take the kick in. He goes long to the contest, but we couldn't get a mark. It spills to Darcy Wilson, who handballs it over the top to Max Hall. Max stops and assesses before seeing that Darcy's continued to run. He gets the ball back, goes long inside 50 and finds Butler for the mark. In this second play, it's early in the match. De Koning gets the tap out to Hugo Garcia. Garcia keeps it in front of himself, breaks away from the contest and picks the ball up. Hugo kicks it forward. If we stop the play, we can see that Wood was by himself, but I can understand wanting to get it to Naz or Hall's advantage. Hall tries to collect the ball before he's tackled without it, and the ball goes over the line. In those moments, we got to see some of our younger players take advantage of their opportunities, and that's something we're going to need more going forward. But that is about it for the stats today. If you want to see more of my face, I've got my own channel at Wooden Spoon Data, but I'll be here each and every week to go over the standout Saints stats. I want to thank Jake for having me. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Go Saints.